I think there are some challenges that managers are going to need to be aware of and maybe get some additional training and some coaching in terms of how they manage a hybrid workforce. And by a hybrid workforce, I mean part that's working from home and part that's in a physical office. So I think this does make it very challenging for all of us.
Welcome to another episode of the peopleHum interview series. I'm your host Sumita Mariam, and let's begin with a quick introduction of peopleHum. peopleHum is an end-to-end, one-view integrated human capital management automation platform, the winner of the 2019 Global Cody Award for HCM that is specifically built for crafted employee experiences and the future of work. We run the peopleHum blog and the video channel, which receives upwards of 200,000 visitors a year, and publish around 2 interviews with well-known names globally every month. And now for our guest, Jeanne Achille is the CEO and founder of the Devon Group. She's a frequently quoted spokesperson, speaker, and content contributor. She's also chaired the Select HR Tech Conference and the Women in HR Tech Summit. We are extremely happy and honored to have her on our interview series today. Welcome, Jeanne. We're so happy to have you.
It's such a pleasure to join you today. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm looking forward to chatting with you.
That's amazing. So let's move on to the interview now. My first question for you, Jeanne, can you tell us a little bit about your journey so far? I mean, what brought you to the Devon Group?
Oh, goodness. Well, I have the rather interesting distinction of having pretty much my entire career in the HR technology category. So, and as you can imagine, few of us go to university and say, "Oh, I think I'll make a career in HR technology." So it somewhat found me through my career journey. I worked for a company called Insci years ago, which was the forerunner in the HRMS category. Back in those days, HRMS was strictly a mainframe-based platform. I left there and ran product management at Ceridian, and then did a brief stint at Nortel, and then started the Devon Group. Devon was founded as a technology-based PR and marketing firm where we were doing all things tech. Our first clients were companies like Apple and IBM and Motorola, but within the first 6 months, I kept hearing from vendors in the HR tech category asking for help. And so over the years, and it's been 26 years now that Devon's been up and running, we have supported some of the biggest and brightest brands in this particular category.
Wow, that's wonderful. And, from your experience or, according to you, what are the things to keep in mind while choosing an HR software for your organization?
That's such a great question. And I think that the vendor community thinks there's one answer. And yet, if you speak to HR professionals, each answer is as individual as their respective organization. Whenever there are people involved and processes, there's never one size fits all in terms of a solution. So the solution has to be able to morph to what the organization needs, what the client organization needs, rather than to impose or dictate process. So that ability to be very flexible, to incorporate other technologies, open APIs, all of that is very important as you are looking at determining what solution you should go with. The other thing is, sometimes when you're making a technology purchase, it's an opportunity to look at your processes and your workflows within your organization and determine what's broken or in need of improvement, because technology is not necessarily going to make that better. You have to look at the combination of people, processes, and technology.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you think, it totally depends on the organization and the people that make up the organization. Is it like that?
It is, but it's more of a committee approach when you're investing in HR technology. And what I mean by that is, of course, it's not just HR, but it's your IT team members. It might be your finance team members. It might be your legal team as well that's involved. In some cases, of course, procurement is playing an active role in it. So on the organization side, making the purchase, they need to construct a committee. They might want to have a consultant or two helping guide the process. And sometimes those consultants specialize in certain areas, such as the employee experience. That can be very important, usability, all of those aspects. Um, but then as you look out in terms of which vendors you're going to interview as potential vendors to your organization, it's important that you look at those vendors as partners because HR is very unique in so much that when you engage with an HR technology vendor, they are becoming an integral part of your organization. You are using this technology every single day. So this is not a situation where you're buying office supplies and periodically ordering paper clips. This is a very intense process, and you have to be as comfortable with the company as your vendor partner as you are with their technology. And they have to be as committed to you as you are to them. That's how you ensure success.
Yeah, that's a wonderful answer. And we're speaking a lot about these technologies. So, what kind of technology do you think can help HR departments in their work? Are there any specific features that HRs need the most?
Oh, well, as you might suspect, I have a long list. It starts though, and to some extent, it's based on market segmentation. So, a large enterprise, of course, is going to have more HR technology investments than perhaps a small business. But at the core, you always have to have a system of record. And I'm amazed as I have spoken to so many HR professionals over the years, when I ask them about their system of record, they're unclear as to whether or not that's the HRMS, is it the payroll system, So you have to have this absolute gold standard system of record that enables you to look at all of your talent in one place. That's so important. Um, every company needs some sort of recruiting solution. So whether that is, an ATS and a CRM and a full recruitment marketing program, it might look like that. If you are recruiting less in a high volume methodology and more in a specialty approach, so for example, are you recruiting to lift up a call center, or are you recruiting for maybe 3 scientists a year? You have to look at what the right recruiting technologies are for your approach to recruiting. So recruiting would be the second one. Compensation management has become increasingly important, especially as we look at the intersection between compensation management and diversity and inclusion efforts. There are, of course, a number of mandates now where you have to look at pay equity reporting. So it's very important to have the right compensation management in place. Um, I would say that engagement is a big theme. Although, post COVID, engagement has taken a different look and feel. Engagement used to be more about how engaged are your employees because that goes to productivity. Now it's a much more empathetic, how do we keep all of our employees connected during a time where they might not be, they might not have the physical office as the means of bringing everyone together.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And, we have a lot of categories of workers right now. So we have a lot of gig workers with the increasing, millennial and Gen Z workforce. So how do you think, HR tech can integrate features that can also keep the gig workers involved and engaged?
What a great question. I think a lot of organizations, first of all, silo their talent. And by that, I mean you have your traditional full and part time employees in the HRMS, but then your gig workers are coming through procurement because that is seen as more of a, let's say, a staffing by. So there might be a vendor management system on that end and then the HRMS on the other end, and never the twain shall meet. We are seeing that that is breaking down in a very positive way, where you have more of a total talent approach so that you can see the skills that your gig workers have, as well as the skills that your traditional employees have. And you can then source by skill as opposed to by credentials. Credentials are, of course, still very important, but if I have a need for a truck driver because I've lost some key talent, and transportation is the backbone of how we're getting goods across the supply chain. I don't necessarily want to go to the ATS and look for resumes. What I'm probably going to do is go to my gig workers because I need someone immediately, and I need to look who has the right license, who has the right skills. So that ability to look at talent holistically is so important. The way we look at it is these are different labor models. When someone is a gig worker, oftentimes it's because they want to be a gig worker. They're looking to have some level of flexibility for other commitments they have in their work-life balance. But it's so important to have gig workers as a talent source as well as your other workers. So, on this note, I would say talent pools are very important. I don't know if you're seeing similar, but making sure that you've created talent pools that are tethered to your brand, and that you're communicating with this talent on a regular basis and keeping them engaged is also very important.
Yeah, that's such a wonderful answer. And I think that's something, a lot of organizations should be looking into right now. And we've been talking so much about technology, and let's shift our focus a little bit. And one simple question that I would like to ask you. So, concerning human resources in organizations, what is the right balance of human intelligence and artificial intelligence that can maintain that flow and that balance for the human capital?
Well, you've definitely struck a nerve with me on the whole AI topic. I think it's fascinating. I also think we are very early stage, though, with regard to artificial intelligence in HR. We hear the term, the acronym AI, we hear the term artificial intelligence a lot. We really have not achieved, we're nowhere near true AI in HR yet. We are very early stage. Most of the activity is very transactional. So it's mostly chatbot based, which is a form of automation that can be very efficient. We are now seeing that evolve to more intelligent technology where there's conversational AI going on, which is the next stage. But we are nowhere near the nirvana of AI in HR. Really, what's powering this is a lot of machine learning. As I look at HR technology, I look at what are we automating transactionally, and then what are we driving towards strategically? The real change happens strategically. The transactional change, of course, is more in the category of efficiencies and cost savings.
Yeah, that's such a wonderful answer. And, again, shifting our focus a little bit. So we've gone through this pandemic, and it's a global crisis and everyone's together. So how do you think the way of work in life is going to, evolve or change once we come out of this pandemic?
Oh, goodness. So I'm in the New York metro area, which was particularly hard hit by coronavirus, as the world knows. And we've seen a lot of trends emerge. Knowledge workers have the advantage of working from home because we're sitting in front of a computer all day long. So for us, this isn't that different, if we sit in the office or if we sit from our home office. So for knowledge worker, there isn't that much change. If you're in a category like retail or hospitality, where the physical workplace is crucial to the interaction with the customer, that's a bit more challenging. One of the things that concerns me as we all go back to work in different phases, is we're looking globally across different regions that have been impacted differently by COVID-19. So, I just heard this morning from a colleague in Singapore who said, well, things are getting better here. And yet, on the news this morning, I heard that in Florida, here in the US, things are getting much worse. So, if you are an employer with a dispersed workforce, how do you manage where your employees are and how they've been impacted by the pandemic? Who can safely come back to the office and who might need some leave time because they're in an area that's been impacted? And also, then, as a manager, how do you manage this workforce? So, how do you handle, some of my employees are in the office and I'm in the office too. So, am I now getting closer to those employees, seeing them more, starting to favor them a bit for some assignments and maybe not paying as much attention to my work from home employees? I think there are some challenges that managers are going to need to be aware of and maybe get some additional training and some coaching in terms of how they manage a hybrid workforce. And by a hybrid workforce, I mean part that's working from home and part that's in a physical office. So I think this does make it very challenging for all of us.
Yeah, that is such a thought-provoking answer. And I think only as we go through these challenges, we'll understand, how to come out of it. So yeah, that's amazing. And Jean, just to kind of wrap up the interview process, if you have any last sound bites that you would like to leave our audience.
Well, shameless plug, I am co-chair of the HR Technology Conference, and that is held in Las Vegas in October. We, safety first, of course, but we are planning a physical event, and we hope that everyone will consider joining us at hrtechconference.com. If for some reason we don't have a physical event, of course, we will be virtual. We're ready to go either way. And I think that's a wonderful place to learn about HR technology. And we have a lot of great programming, a lot of great content. And I'm very bullish about this category. It's when times are good, HR technology is an important investment. And when times are challenging, it's what's going to get you through the challenging times. So we see a lot of vibrancy in the category. There are a lot of investors investing in the category and a lot of HR professionals who are continuing to make their investments. So we're excited. We're excited to be part of it.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you for that wonderful, interview that we've had. You were amazing, and it was such an enriching learning experience for me. And all the best for your event in October. And I urge my audience also check out the website. And it was such an enriching experience for me personally, and it will be for our audience also. Have a great day ahead of you, and have a healthy and safe time.
Thank you so much. A pleasure to join you today.